What's up, everybody? Colin Sheehan back here on Trust the Profits as we run through all 14 races for Breeders' Cup weekend, and I give you my pick in all of those. That's right, let's do it. Let's get through all 14 races for Breeders' Cup weekend. On Friday, we start off with the Juvenile Turf Sprint. If you watch my big board, I think there's a variety of ways you can go in here. You have a very fast horse with big evs. You have Crimson Advocate out of the George Weaver barn, who obviously went over to Royal Ascot and made a big impact with a win, making him only the third U.S. trainer to win over at Ascot. But I'm actually going to take a shot here with Tiger Bell at 15 to 1. This horse has a lot of heart. This horse has a ton of gate speed. This horse is going to break like a rocket from the gate, and hopefully in the sprint can hold them off. Tiger Bell at 15 to 1 is going to be my pick in the Juvenile Turf Sprint. Leading next is the Juvenile Fillies, and there's one horse that I'm so excited for the performance this weekend, and that is Tamara, the daughter of Beholder, of course, 3-time Breeders' Cup winner. Yes, 4 to 5. Yes, favorite. Yes, she could get beat here by a horse such as Bright Work or a horse like Candied out of the Todd Pletcher barn, who had a big race last time, and you're getting it priced at 4 to 1. But let's face it, I show up on some of these days because I want to see superstars, and so Tamara is a horse that I'm hoping fits that bill. This sport could certainly use it after the week and summer that we have had. Let's move on to the Juvenile Fillies Turf. I think this is a wide open affair. I'm going to go with a number 3, Boku at 6 to 1. This horse is very versatile. Sired by Justify. Justify has been unbelievable on the turf. This horse has shown increasing speed figures. This horse is one from the inside, one from the outside, and in a wide open race, why not take a shot with Boku? Next up is the Juvenile. I'm going to go with the Bob Baffert barn here for the 2-year-old Juvenile called Muth. Not Prince of Monaco. Muth is a horse that won the American Pharoah at this distance, at this track. This horse was purchased for $2 million, so you know they're serious in where they're placing Muth. And I think Muth, with the experience and the home court advantage, is one that I'm extremely interested in. I can't blame you, though, if you want to go for a horse like Timberlake or Locked or the Wine Steward. I think all of these horses have shown an incredible amount of ability, so by no means is Muth a lock, but that's where I'm going to land in the Juvenile. In the Juvenile Turf, I'm looking at Endlessly. Sean Patrick Nolan, we're all very familiar with Sean on this channel, pointed out this horse to me when we were sitting at a picnic table up at Saratoga Whitney weekend, and he said, you have to watch the replay of this horse, Endlessly, who debuted out at Del Mar and burst between horses coming down the stretch in that debut, has backed it up with 2 more victories out of the McCarthy barn. We're relying on SPN here, but I have seen what he has seen, and I think Endlessly is a talent that you want to pay attention to, especially at a nice price of 5 to 1 with Juan Hernandez aboard. We move on to Saturday, and we start with the mile. And of course, you have Cody's Wish here, and it's hard to get by Cody's Wish, who's 10 for 15 lifetime. Just an absolutely heartwarming story that we definitely want to pull for a horse like Cody's Wish. The mile is the right distance. You can throw out that Whitney when they tried a mile and an eighth. The mile is where Cody's Wish is most successful, and I think Cody's Wish will again be successful to kick off race 3 on Saturday for the Breeders' Cup races. Certainly had some interest in the number 9 National Treasure at 8 to 1 out of Bob Baffert barn. That might be a little bit of a value play if you want to move away from Cody's Wish. Next up is the Filly and Mare Turf. I've decided to go with Didia. Didia is 9 for 11 on the turf, has a win at Santa Anita, is 3 for 4 at the 1.25 mile distance, including being 3 for 4 this year. I think 8 to 1 is a really nice price. Perhaps you have a little bit of a pace concern here. for a horse like Didia. Hopefully Fev Rover and Italian get going and set this up nicely. Didia is actually at 8-1, probably the best long shot, if you consider that a long shot, at least my best feeling for a horse that can come in at a price on Saturday. Next up is the filly and mare sprint. You're obviously facing Goodnight Olive, who was last year's winner. Looks very tough in here in a field that to me is a little bit of an Society is enticing. That would be the only other place I would go, and you probably get a better price with Society. But I just think Goodnight Olive can put away this field. I don't want to say fairly easily, but I have confidence in Goodnight Olive. In the mile on the turf, I'm going to go with Maj, number 6 at 4-1 with Ocean Murphy aboard. This horse beat Tahira 2 back. If you beat Tahira, you are a legit horse. Tahira is one of the best in the world. Came over to the United States and was able to get a victory in the first try at Keeneland on a day when speed was actually not holding up. And Maj was on the front end that day and was able to hold on for a nice victory there over at Keeneland. Next up is the Distaff. I'm going to go with Pretty Mischievous. I absolutely love this horse. She's a win at the distance, 7 for 10 lifetime. A little bit of a bias play here for me. Idiomatic looks very tough. I'm hoping that she becomes a victim of the speed duel up front, maybe randomized. Adari Manor are also going for the lead and can soften up Idiomatics to set up for Pretty Mischievous coming from off the pace. The turf is an absolutely stacked race. So many ways you could go in here, including if you are cheering for the United States, you have to cheer for Up to the Mark, who is definitely our best turf horse. But I'm going to go with the class of Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore with August Rodin. 2 for 3 at the distance. You can toss that 10th place finish recently. That was 2 back. Not a fan of the soft ground on that day. I think this is the best horse in O'Brien's barn. He's a trainer you obviously have to respect on Breeders' Cup weekend. I'll take August Rodin on this day. In the Classic, I'm going to go with Japan, Ushba Tesoro. I haven't learned my lesson in taking horses like Dermasotogake in the Kentucky Derby. Dermasotogake that was his last race coming into this race. An interesting spot here for Dermasotogake. But Ushba Tesoro, since being moved to the dirt, has just been unbelievable. Probably going to be coming from off the pace. Maybe sitting behind horses like Arabian Night, Saudi Crown, White Barrio probably be forwardly placed. I think White Barrio is going to be tough here. If he repeats what he did in the Whitney, you can kiss White Barrio goodbye. But I would hate to be on Dermasotogake in the Derby and then miss Ushba Tesoro here in the Classic. So I'm going to stick with it, and hopefully we can get number 8 home at 4-1. Then we go to the Turf Sprint for once the Classic is not your last race. And I love a horse here by the name of Motorious. That is your number 10 at 5-1 out of the Phil D'Amato barn with Flavian Prat aboard. This horse is a closer and at 5 furlongs. Maybe is a concern, but not for him. He's a specialist in the 5 furlong distance. And actually in this race, you actually want historically horses that are coming from off the pace. He's going to need to work out a trip and going to have to work out that trip pretty quickly. But Motorious will be my pick in the Turf Sprint. And then in the Sprint, Elite Power is one of my favorite horses. Probably another biased pick here. Lost the 4 go to Goodnight at 7 furlongs. He gets back to 6 furlongs. Let me see Speedboat Beach repeat what he's done on the dirt versus a horse like Elite Power. So Elite Power will round out my picks for Breeders' Cup weekend.